But one of the things that we wrestle with, and we've been wrestling with it in our industry for decades now, which is one alternative that we all set aside as not really an option, which is to amend the contract, actually hold a bondholder vote. And the difficulty we have in our market is, and I think actually in the agenda for the SEC, it actually calls it a Byzantine system, which is the system by which we figure out the ownership, both starting at the DTC, but ultimately this network of custodians. And one of the things that is just, it's unfortunate that we can't look at that system and think that we can actually use it to hold a successful vote and put something out and actually be able to even identify enough bondholders to be able to be a quorum to make that decision. Is there something that we as an industry can do along with the SDC and any other agency to kind of modernize the system? We have a task force that's been focused on it, and it's amazing how you talk to some and they're like, it just works, it works well. And we know for a fact if you have issuers, investors, or custodians, it just really does not work.
Well, I mean, maybe this is, and again, I'm not smart enough to figure out where technology is going to take us, but I feel like this may be an area where blockchain is ultimately a solution. It's not going to help us for the past, but kind of being able to track much more closely what's happening and where, what's happening, who the ultimate owner is of that bond, I think could be helpful. But it really doesn't solve those problems in the immediate sense, and I think that's something that we need to be talking more closely with the industry about to figure out what to do. I mean, there are other circumstances where you don't know or you can't get in touch with people who have certain rights, and we make decisions about how to handle those situations, but it's really hard to say you're just going to pretend that you're going to roll over someone's rights, someone who has rights, and that will definitely spark a lawsuit. So I don't know what the right answer is. I'd love to hear feedback from folks if you all have ideas of what we can be doing to help in this area. In terms of continuing LIBOR on, I think that is a possibility. The danger is, though, and it's one that a lot of people are talking about. I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion in many people's minds that LIBOR will just disappear. Right. But I think the problem with that is that means that people keep writing it into contracts. So it's like you almost can't win.
Right, and that's where I have some folks who say, well, look, if the contract's before a certain date, they can use it, but sort of say, like, from here forward. But then there's risks of the lack of liquidity and what happens as it ages out. But at least you're reducing the amount of legacy trades you have through that mechanism. And there is a way to kind of keep it honest a little bit, because you do have, if the rate ends up being SOFR, you can compare it, and why is LIBOR going way up when SOFR's not? So there is ways to sort of track that. So our industry is definitely putting a lot of time behind it, and we'll certainly continue that dialogue with you on it.